Welcome back, everyone. So the city's study noted that 8% of greenhouse gas emissions come from food waste. And that's addition to the greenhouse gases like on the front end of big ag in particular. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the intersection of industrial food production, food waste, and climate change.
Oh, it's a big question. Yeah, I think that if we're thinking about a large-scale industrial agriculture, I think we've known for decades that it's not really benefiting people or the environment, and there's a lot of problems there, right? From carbon emissions to disrespecting labor. I think that we need an overhaul, and I think most of the folks at this table would probably agree that small-scale agriculture is better at feeding people, it's less wasteful, and can be more respectful to our workers. One of the things I like to say is the only person you need 3 times a day is a farmer, and everything else is negotiable. So I think we need to really take a step back at looking at our food system and think about how the people who are feeding us, harvesting our food every day, need to have a seat at the policy table. I think also when we're talking about food costs, we have to address the fact that these large-scale agricultural projects get subsidies for monoculture and monocropping, while our small-scale farmers often do not. And so it's always confusing to me when I see the high price of food in the supermarket compared to the farmer's market. And I wonder, well, as a farmer myself, I know how much labor goes into growing and harvesting this. And I'm not exactly sure, as someone who's not getting a subsidy as a larger scale corporation, why there's such similarity in prices, or why grocery stores would even be higher sometimes. I think that there's also the factor I spoke about earlier with trucking produce from location to location. The more local we can get, we know we're reducing carbon footprint. And then I think the waste in the landfill, a significant amount of methane is created in our landfill from food waste. And so at every level, keeping things local, keeping things closed loop is going to be better for the environment, but also for the people who are growing our food every day.
Yeah. And that reminds me, EPA just put out a report last fall in October around the impacts of food waste on landfills, specifically the methane generation. And they found that 58% of emissions, that what they call fugitive emissions, items that are released from the landfill, is from food waste. That's over half. Yeah. So this is a really great place to be focusing efforts.
Right. Anton, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, going off of what Amanda was saying, I think the more we can localize it and start to get sort of investment from larger institutions to create spaces within our urban environments so that food is, directly coming from a community into that community, and you're able to support careers and just a myriad of other issues by keeping it localized and keeping it with folks in their community, and really supporting that and kind of prioritizing that over trucking it, these great distances.
Right, and we hear all the time about the crisis in farming as farmers are getting older and older, and I think you and many others with Project Feed the Hood kind of belie that and show that local food systems are full of young people, right?
Mm-hmm. And we need more, and I think just broadly, there's not much when it comes to youth education as to how to grow food and spaces in which to do so. And so that's a big priority for us, is getting more young people involved and kind of setting them on a path of development to be able to come into spaces and manage the land and steward their communities and feed their communities. So.
Yeah, and as we, people want to actually be doing this work. We want to eat good food. We want our community members to all be fed with good and healthy food. How do people push back against this global industrialized food system?
I mean, I think we vote every day with our dollars and where we show up. We have our largest farmers market in the state starting this weekend, so that's a great way you can support local producers and local growers. This Saturday, the Downtown Growers Market. We have a plethora of great farmers markets and a really incredible farming community in New Mexico, really full of younger folks and the next generation of growers, creating opportunities for New Mexicans to eat the bounty of New Mexico. So I think that in a lot of ways, we are on a good trajectory with our local community and our local growers. I think the other thing I think about a lot is how do we feed ourselves through the winter? We have like a winter season here, and so how are we extending the harvest? How are we thinking about food preservation? And one of the exciting parts of my job is working with local growers to think about creating value-added products that are shelf-stable, that can create an income stream for them in the winter, but also can be a tool for waste management, so that while there's not a lot of waste on these small-scale farms, there might be a tool to like dehydrate or preserve or pickle a product so that their produce can extend a little bit longer into the winter.
Yeah. I'm wondering what you think about the intentionality of our relationships with food. Like, I love the work that Three Sisters Kitchen does on so many different levels, but do you think there are ways for us to culturally change the way we eat or treat food, whether eating alone or in community?
Yeah, I think that one thing that we love to do is really honor people's food traditions. I mean, knowing that food is a cultural universal, right? That we all need it and that we all have food traditions, rich traditions in our past. I think one thing I think about a lot is the ristra. You know, sometimes people think of it as a decoration, but it was a food preservation method. And then as I talk to folks in other cultures, or we have someone in the program doing a fermented product, and it's like, oh, this was also a food preservation tool, right? They just were using fermentation rather than dehydration. It makes sense for us to dry things in the desert, right? Where it might not in other climates. And I think that intentionality with food, I mean, it really probably starts when we're kids. We talk a lot about food story, and a lot of people, when they're speaking of their first food memories or talking about their food traditions, you know, so much of this is passed on to us, right, from our culture and from our families. And so thinking about food not just as something that's like fuel to get me through my next thing, but as really something that was grown by someone. The seed was planted, it was tended, it was weeded, it was harvested, and it was somehow packaged and brought to you to eat, I think is a perspective that the more we have it, the more we'll start to feel connected and ask those questions about where does this come from and what are the implications of purchasing this thing that might be from far away or from exploited labor.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like the more we look at the food that we have in our lives, I mean, it's like the one thing that every day you look at and you can think about the water that went into it, the people who had to harvest the food, the transportation and the fossil fuels. I mean, it's like a lesson in every meal for us to think about the interconnected pieces of the world and so many problems. And again, like on the show, we talk about a lot of intractable problems, but I feel like when it comes to food waste and food justice, there are things that we can all do from the individual level to advocating for systemic change. And I'm curious, I'd like to start with you. Like, what is the one thing that you want every audience member to start doing this week?
It's a big question. A lot of directions you can go with that too. And I'm just sort of building off of Amanda's as well. I think one of the most impactful things you can do for yourself, your family, your community is begin to get your hands in the dirt and begin to start growing your own food. Have your kids helping you grow a small plot at a community garden or at home. I think the power really comes when you give seeds to a young kid and they're able to start seeing the actual process of where their food comes from and really begin to develop a relationship that's reciprocal and mutualistic, one with their food and with the land and, broadly their community because of that.
Yeah. So I know I asked you for one, but do you have any advice for anybody who wants to be composting, even if maybe they don't have a yard, what they could do?
I mean, I'll definitely plug us. We are able to have systems in place that allow us to let the sort of immediate community compost their food scraps. We have people coming through every day with eggshells, whatever else. And so we try to do workshops as well, but I think getting involved, with farmers, local community gardens that are composting is a great way if you yourself don't have the space to do it or the capacity. Just get involved with the various orgs in Albuquerque that are really pushing this work forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sandra, one thing you want every audience member to do this week, start doing this week.
I'm going to build on the great work stuff that Anton said and just say, like, pick the one thing that really resonated in these conversations today and do that. Just one thing, whether it's going to a website or connecting with a farm or looking up composting in other places in the community or at home. Shout out to our Bernalillo County Extension Master Composters for those who want to compost at home. 100% volunteer or run organization that teaches composting classes for free and has tons of resources on their website, including the Composting in the Desert one that I would have people start with. Because just FYI, if you want to compost and you Google composting, if you find things that have lots of holes, that works great in wetter climates. It's going to petrify everything. Like, it's just going to preserve it. So we really have to shift the way we compost here because of our dry climate. And so just don't get discouraged. Start with the Master Composters. Start on our website. Pick a food waste prevention thing or a garden starting item and just pick one thing and do it. And then when that thing doesn't feel like a lift and you're ready to do something else, do that.
Yes, totally. Amanda.
I'm going to say eat local, buy local, go find a farmer, buy honey or greens or turnips or radishes this week. Start by supporting someone who's growing your food in your community, and then whatever you don't eat, just compost the scraps.
And in terms of like advocating for like large scale change, I know I keep harping on this, but really, how does one start to defeat the this sort of global industrial food system? It seems so overwhelming.
Well, I think to some degree it's defeating itself right now. So I feel like what we've seen with like food safety crises in the past, we put this spinach in a bag and we seal it and we ship it. Ooh, that causes problems, right? And all the recalls we've seen recently. I think that people are really waking up to not just the quality of their food, but also some of the food safety issues that are arising from large-scale agriculture. I think that as we, move through this climate crisis and start to understand it better, some of the practices that we're using for large-scale pesticide use and stuff like that is really it's falling out of favor. And I think we're also seeing a rise in disease and areas that are having heavy pesticide use, and there was just recently the class action suit against Roundup. I can't remember the parent company, but I think that as these things continue to unfold, it's a public safety and a public health issue, and it can't really be denied anymore.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks everyone for being here and for watching and for doing the things that you need to do this week. If you're looking for tips or resources, visit nmpbs.org/ourland. Thank you all so much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.